Coming up on the Q30 Newscast, find out how Quinnipiac is trying to keep freshmen from transferring after their first year.
Plus, a big announcement coming from Quinnipiac Athletics and a sentencing for a man who assaulted a QU student.
All this and more on the Q30 Newscast.
Live from the Ed McMahon Center, this is the Q30 News Nightcast.
Q30 Newscast, presented by Joya Spa and Salon. I'm Sarah Faidell.
And I'm Matthew Stefano.
The Director of Athletics and Recreation at Quinnipiac will be retiring in June. Jack McDonald has been the head of Quinnipiac Athletics for more than 20 years. McDonald oversaw the building of the TD Bank Sports Center, as well as other upgrades for sports media. The National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics named McDonald Athletic Director of the Year in 2013. No word yet on who will replace McDonald or if the university will look externally or internally for a replacement.
Keeping students from transferring is a common mission for colleges and universities throughout the world. But how are officials at Quinnipiac doing with keeping students, specifically freshmen, around for their sophomore year? Taylor Popielarz has more.
Chances are you know someone who has transferred into or out of Quinnipiac, but how many students does QU lose each year to transferring? Andrew Delory oversees retention rates at Quinnipiac, which is the percentage of freshman students who return to QU for their second year.
Our current retention rate is about 85%. Historically, it's between 85 and 87%, which means we lose about 15% of our freshmen.
That 15% means of the roughly 1,700 members in the class of 2018, more than 250 of them will transfer from Quinnipiac after their freshman year. Why are they transferring? Delory says the reasons range from economics to fitting in, but usually point back to expectations.
Expectations are important because if expectations aren't met, students leave.
Delory says Quinnipiac is constantly researching why students are leaving.
We do a lot of research in terms of surveying to try to get a sense of how students report back certain things.
One of those surveys Quinnipiac uses to gauge why students are transferring is this exit withdrawal form, where students state the reasons they're leaving, whether it's personal, financial, academic, or based on campus life.
Many of the students report back that the fit for them was not entirely correct.
Sophomore Sean Valoroso transferred at the end of his freshman year from Quinnipiac. He says he enjoyed QU, but he left because he did not know what he wanted to pursue.
The biggest factor was definitely the deciding factor that I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and I didn't really want to spend $50,000 on a school unless I was completely sure that I wanted what I wanted to do.
Delory says Quinnipiac's goal is to reach 90% retention. The school's 2014 institutional scorecard says retention is currently at 84.7%. Taylor Popielarz, Q30 News.
A New Haven man has been sentenced to 18 years for the assault of a Quinnipiac student. Marcelo Cervantes sexually assaulted a student in April of 2013 in her bedroom off campus. Cervantes entered a plea agreement that lessened his sentence from 45 years. He was also facing charges of burglary and strangulation. In a statement read in court by Victim Services, the woman calls herself a survivor, not a victim. The woman has been able to graduate from college and currently has a job in her profession.
Quinnipiac hosted Bobcat Madness and Parents Weekend this past weekend. The university estimates more than 1,700 families visited campus for this year's event. Students spoke with Q30 about how they were enjoying the weekend.
What I'm enjoying most is just seeing my family in general, just because it's a lot different than before, seeing them every day.
I'm enjoying that everybody's walking around with their parents and everybody seems really happy because they're reunited, and it feels like I'm always going home and they're never coming here, so it's nice to be able to show them around.
Alerts of the Ebola outbreak are increasing. This forces hospitals and schools to prepare for a possible case. President Obama says America is not in fear, and when we see a problem, we will fix it. How does Quinnipiac plan to fix it if need be? Stephanie Fasano tells us how the health science program is taking action.
Let's begin here tonight with a little perspective. Ebola has...
Tonight, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say it should have handled the first case of Ebola, much differently this
Governor
afternoon.
Dana Malloy will address the public this afternoon with an update on state preparedness for the Ebola emergency.
The Yale New Haven Hospital admitted a patient last night who met the threshold to be monitored for Ebola virus disease.
There are now more than 10,000 cases of Ebola worldwide. And when one case hits close to home, preparation is key. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have confirmed a case of Ebola in Dallas, Texas, and one in New York City. When a suspected case was only 12 miles away from Quinnipiac, the university plans were underway.
I decided to pull my leadership team together in nursing to decide, okay, what policies do we want to set for students and faculty who are in the clinical areas, and how might we respond.
Days before the patient was admitted to Yale New Haven Hospital with Ebola-like symptoms, the school was preparing a workshop for all health science students to learn more about disease control.
It was rather quite a coincidence that, you know, the day before we'd made a decision that we wanted to be proactive, and then the very next morning hear this.
Health science, nursing, and medical students have the prior knowledge. The review of standard precautions was the next step.
And we're trying to emphasize it's not the same level of precautions you would use for Ebola, but until we have that confirmed, you know, case or suspected case, this is what we use. And by using the basic standard precautions, it's going to prevent a lot of the problems later down the line.
Learning basics like putting on gloves and gowns properly, along with properly removing the face masks after touching a contaminated patient.
I think students feel more educated for sure and more prepared, something that is scary, and it's better to know more than not know what you're getting into.
One of the worst things that can come about from this type of outbreak is the fear of the unknown, or being concerned about things, or having unrealistic fears. So I think that's one of the things that we've been really trying to do, is educate the students, educate the staff. But now that the information is out to all of our health and health-related students, we're hoping that now that fear will kind of be settled down.
Educational videos, lectures, and practice creates the combination of knowing the accurate information and prevents fear.
I think that we know how to handle it. I don't think there's any reason for anybody to, you know, to panic.
I'm Stephanie Fasano, Q30 News.
Students and organizations are working together to send a message. The A Culture is Not a Costume campaign encourages students to be mindful of the Halloween costumes they wear, explaining that certain costumes sometimes perpetuate stereotypes. Quinnipiac students received an email earlier this week showcasing students holding pictures of costumes considered culturally offensive. The campaign is inspired by Ohio University's Wear a Culture, Not a Costume initiative.
Still to come on the Q30 Newscast, Quinnipiac University makes a deal with Hamden that is upsetting some residents.
And changes are shaking up Wesleyan University's Greek life. Plus, we have the top stories in world news. Stay with Q30. We'll be right back.
And it's pretty chilly tonight at Quinnipiac, but the South is enjoying some nice warm temperatures. We'll talk a little bit more about it coming up.
Q30 Newscast is presented by Joya Spa and Salon. For more information, visit www.joyadayspa.com.
Welcome to Joya Spa and Salon in Hamden. Whether you want a new look or the perfect wedding day hair, come to us for complete hair and nail care, cuts, styles, updos, extensions, and beautiful dimensional hair color, as well as manis and pedis, acrylics, gels, and shellac. Treat yourself to a facial, a peel, or microdermabrasion. Relax with a variety of massage techniques, including Swedish and hot stone massage. Joya Spa and Salon. Call today.
We are your source for entertainment news.
Welcome to A Sheer Sensation, North Haven's premier cosmetology service, located at 140 Washington Avenue, minutes from Hamden. We offer an array of services, from basic cuts and colors to lash extensions and formaldehyde-free keratin treatments. We also provide hair chalk and styling for men. When you spend $60, your Q card will get you 10% off. Call us at 203-239-6477 to make your next appointment at A Sheer Sensation.
Newscast. In an overwhelming vote of 12-2, the Hamden Council accepted a voluntary payment of $1.23 million from Quinnipiac University. The voluntary payment is in lieu of Quinnipiac not paying taxes for its educational facilities. The town and university plan to work on amending certain zoning regulations throughout the city. Quinnipiac must also participate in a community forum to hear concerns from residents. Not all members of the community are happy about the decision, but Legislative Council President says the town cannot ignore such a large amount of money when the town is facing budget gaps.
Fraternities have a long-standing tradition of only accepting men into their organizations, but after problems at one private liberal arts college in Middletown, that tradition is about to change. I spoke with Quinnipiac Greek Life and one fraternity at Wesleyan University as they deal with these drastic changes.
It's a decision making national headlines and eliciting responses like this from some groups on campus. Residential fraternities at Wesleyan University must now go co-ed.
I don't know that the implications of the decision has really been thought through.
Implications being the loss of national charter for Delta Kappa Epsilon at Wesleyan.
If the mandate of full membership in the fraternity holds, then DEAC will no longer be DEAC because they will lose their national affiliation.
The president and CEO of the North American Interfraternity Conference also disagrees with Wesleyan's decision. In an email, he responded to the situation, stating, "The institution is inhibiting fundamental principles of freedom of expression and freedom of association upon which our country is premised and upon which it functions." Fraternities at Wesleyan are no strangers to making negative headlines. One woman called the Beta Theta Pi House at Wesleyan a rape factory and filed a lawsuit against the university in 2013 for failing to protect her from assault. A girl fell out of a window of that same house earlier in September of 2014. Students have been banned from living there. At Quinnipiac University, about 25% of the population is involved in Greek life, and while there are outlets for Greek life on campus, there's not off-campus housing. But a lack of housing does not necessarily mean a lack of problems.
So I think the easy answer is to blame a house on a behavior, right? But we also know that the members make up the organization that then choose to live in a facility. So I don't think we can say that a facility is the root cause of the issue.
So if it's not coeducation and it's not housing, what is the solution to sexual assault problems facing fraternities?
At the end of the day, bad things can happen everywhere. It's about making sure we're, one, picking the right members in our organizations, two, making sure those members are educated, and three, revisiting that all the time.
For Delta Kappa Epsilon, with an order for coeducation, but a tradition that discourages it, it's all about raising public awareness and exploring its options.
We're certainly consulting with lawyers, see what recourse we might have. We're hoping that it doesn't come to that, but if we're fighting for our survival, as we think we are, then all the options are on the table.
Sarah Faidell, Q30 News.
An arrest has been made in a homicide that took place just 7 miles from Quinnipiac's campus. William Cowdermash was arrested by police in connection to the home invasion on Circular Avenue that left one Hamden resident dead earlier this month. Police are still searching for the alleged shooter, Nicholas Papantonio. Chief Thomas Wydra hopes this identification will ease safety concerns in the community.
The explosion can be seen across the sky in Virginia on Monday night.
Dylan Fearon has the story on NASA's failed launch and the top headlines from around the world. Dylan?
Thanks, guys. We are going to start in East Virginia, where an unmanned NASA rocket exploded last night. The rocket, which was headed to the International Space Station carrying about 5,000 pounds of supplies, exploded just 6 seconds after the launch. It was left with a $200 million rocket plummeted to the ground, causing flames upon impact. NASA reported right before liftoff that there were no technical concerns, but a lot of important hardware was lost. Luckily, no one was injured. And there's now more information as to why North Korean leader Kim Jong-un disappeared a few weeks ago. Kim was seen limping before his 5-week disappearance, prompting theories of gout and weight gain, but according to South Korean lawmakers, Kim had ankle surgery to remove a cyst due to tarsal tunnel syndrome. Kim was recovering smoothly, but the cyst could reappear due to his obesity and heavy schedule. He was seen at a concert on September 3rd, but was not seen in public again until October 14th after the surgery. Zambian President Michael Sata is dead. He was 77 years old. Sata traveled to London last week for some unspecified medical treatment and died at a hospital there Tuesday night. Zambia Vice President Guy Scott has been named the interim president until elections are held within 90 days. Scott is the first white head of state in Zambia in many years. And prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for the captain of the capsized Sewol ferry that left nearly 300 people dead this past April. What's significant about this is the death penalty is unusual in South Korea and has not occurred in 17 years. Prosecutors charged Captain Lee Jun-suk and 3 crew members with murder because prosecutors allege the ferry's crew members did not use the ship's facilities, such as life rafts, life vests, and announcements to evacuate passengers. At least 10 bodies are still missing from the disaster. And finally, in China, nearly 2,500 students taking a national exam have been caught using high-tech cheating gear. State media says abnormal radio signals were being picked up, which are being used to transmit the answers in code. Wireless earpieces and electronic erasers were also being used. The organizers of the scam sent fake candidates to take the exam who quickly left after memorizing all the questions. They then broadcasted the correct answers to 2,440 test takers in exchange for $330 each. More than 25,000 students took the exam to become a licensed pharmacist, and the caught students are not allowed to take the exam for another 2 years. Guys, that's it for World News. I'm Dylan Fearon. Now back to the desk.
When we return to the Q30 Newscast, Dorah Labatte has the latest in entertainment news.
And we'll take a look at the weather with Jenelle Cadigan. Jenelle?
That's right. Quinnipiac had a nice warm-up today, but it's snow on the way. Stick with us for your full forecast after the break.
We are your source for entertainment news.
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
Wake up, Quinnipiac! It's the morning after! Hey! Come on, guys, it's time for TMA! Let's go! What's the morning after? Mondays at 10, only on Q30!
Good evening, Quinnipiac. I'm Jenelle Cadigan here with your full Q30 forecast. And as we start off today's temperatures, over in San Francisco and Los Angeles, it's nice and warm. Down in the south in Phoenix, 90 degrees. But as you look over on the east, Chicago, and up near Boston and New York, 61, 54, and in the 40s. So it's pretty chilly up north, but the south is enjoying nice temperatures. Florida, down in Miami, 79 degrees. Let's take a look at your radar. So today, you've noticed that some showers are passing through, but they should be gone by the end of the night. And the rest of the weekend, the rest of the week looks nice and clear. So now let's look at the local temperatures. Over in Waterbury and Meriden, it's in the 50s, also in New Haven. And as you look over in Norwich and New London, 60 degrees. So pretty decent 50s and 60s around the state. And tonight's forecast is 43 degrees, drizzling with winds west-northwest at 5 miles per hour. And tomorrow is going to be 55 and sunny with winds north-northwest at 8 miles per hour. And for your 7-day forecast, Tomorrow and Friday are going to be nice and sunny, but Halloween night it's going to dip down into the 30s. Saturday we will not see snow. We will see some rain though. However, moving into the early week, it should be partly cloudy and we'll see a slight warm up with temps in the upper 50s. That's it for your full forecast. Now back to the desk.
Thanks, Jenelle. Hopefully the weather holds off for Halloween this year.
And now let's go to Dorah Labatte for more on the album release already topping the charts and the rest of the top stories in entertainment news.
Taylor Swift's much-anticipated sixth album is finally here. Stepping away from the country music scene, 1989 is Swift's first purely pop album. It has already received winning reviews from Billboard and Rolling Stone magazine, calling it her best work yet. No single artist has pulled off a platinum album this year, but Swift may single-handedly pull the music industry out of its slump. She's got a new look and she's not afraid to use it. Rene Zellweger is rocking her new face au naturel. The star was spotted in Mississippi with Doyle Braham with no makeup, a messy bun, and sweatshirt on. Hollywood thinks her new look makes her unrecognizable, but the star says she is happy with the change and says she is now living a happier, more fulfilled life. A new Ray Rice Halloween costume is causing some controversy. A picture of a man dressed as Ray Rice, carrying a blow-up doll that's supposed to be his wife, Janae Palmer, was released on Reddit earlier this month. Sources say the couple is undergoing a difficult patch in their relationship, but will stay married. They say they will pray for those that mock their current situation and continue to work toward rebuilding their lives together. Speaking of rough patches, Amanda Bynes has found herself in another one. The star's doctor put a request to the judge stating Bynes must spend an additional 30 days in the psychiatric facility. The initial worry was from her DUI arrest and tweets, but now doctors say she is just too ill to be released. Although the star is being committed involuntarily, the doctors believe this will help her recovery in the long run and that there is a chance the psychiatric hold will be extended for a longer period of time. TLC cancels Here Comes Honey Boo Boo. Alana, also known as Honey Boo Boo, is no longer in the spotlight now that her mother, Mama June, is dating a convicted child molester. The man spent 10 years in jail after forcing an 8-year-old to have oral sex with him. Mama June denies she has ever had relations with the man, despite a photo of them in a hotel room that was released earlier this week. TLC has canceled the show because they believe she's putting her children at risk. That's all for your entertainment news. I'm Dorah Labatte. Now back to the desk.
Thanks, Dorah. And still to come on the Q30 Newscast, a look into how non-cable TV platforms like Netflix are growing in popularity.
And we'll go to Morey Hershgordon to find out how the Bobcats fared in this week's games.
We'll be right back.
The Q30 Newscast is presented by Joya Spa and Salon. For more information, visit www.joyadayspa.com.
Welcome to Joya Spa and Salon in Hamden. Whether you want a new look or the perfect wedding day hair, come to us for complete hair and nail care, cuts, styles, updos, extensions, and beautiful dimensional hair color, as well as manis and pedis, acrylics, gels, and shellac. Treat yourself to a facial, a peel, or microdermabrasion. Relax with a variety of massage techniques, including Swedish and hot stone massage. Joya Spa and Salon. Call today.
And we have a
back to his Hollywood days.
This is my mom. Make a decision and
playoff spot,
Siena Saints this afternoon on Senior Day 2-0. Rafael Carvalho got the Bobcats on the board with a goal, compliments of Marshall Baker just 26 minutes into the first half. The second goal was scored by senior forward Marshall Baker in the 87th minute, locking up the victory. Borjan Goita, the goalkeeper, was awarded the assist on Baker's goal. And with the shutout, Goita tied Frederick Hall's career shutouts mark with 22. The Bobcats improved to 8-4-4 on the year with a 5-0-3 mark in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference to date. On Saturday, they head to Iona to face the Gales at 3 p.m. The women's volleyball team had 3 home games over the past 4 days. On Saturday, the Bobcats were defeated by the St. Peter's Peacocks in straight sets, 23-25, 22-25, and 22-25. Then on Sunday, they held their first inaugural Dig Pink game against Ryder. They fell 3-1 by scores of 17-25, 23-25. They won the third set 25-22 and lost the fourth set 20-25. On Tuesday night, they welcomed in state rival Hartford for a midweek non-conference matchup. Despite a great effort, the Bobcats dropped 3 straight sets in the loss. With the losses, the Bobcats are now 2-24 with an 0-13 mark in the MAC. They face Fairfield on Saturday at home at 1 p.m. The field hockey team lost to Ryder on Friday 2-1 in overtime. They needed to win on Sunday to inch closer to securing a playoff spot. Let's head to the QU turf field for the highlights. Quinnipiac, Monmouth, Sunday afternoon. It's senior day in Hamden. Quinnipiac, the defending MAC champions, need a win to secure a spot. They are pumped up in the first half, but Monmouth has other thoughts. In the first half, Monmouth has the first chance early. Trish O'Dwyer, stopped by the 2013 MAC co-goalkeeper of the year, Megan Conaboy, keeps the score at 0. Quinnipiac, though, moments later would have their first chance, and Danielle Allen finds Gemma Serira for the goal. Quinnipiac leads early, 1-0. Just 10 minutes later, it's Leah Dietrichs, unassisted, will go around a Monmouth defender and score past the Monmouth goalie. 2-0 Bobcats, looking good in the first half. Though Monmouth would respond. Amanda Schoenfield puts her ball past Conaboy. Not that great of an angle, but she still gets the ball to go in the cage. It's 2-1 at halftime. Quinnipiac leads. Off of a corner, Danielle Allen scores after a block shot, and Quinnipiac leads 3-1 midway through the second half. Just 3 minutes later, though, Schoenfield responds yet again. Off the tip shot, she puts it in. Monmouth cuts the lead to 3-2. And then with just under 10 minutes to play in the game, Trish O'Dwyer scores a backhanded strike, far post past Conaboy, ties the score at 3, will head to overtime in Hamden. It's Amanda Schoenfield who fires a strike past Megan Conaboy. Trish O'Dwyer puts it in the net. Game is over. Quinnipiac loses 4-3. They drop to 2-2 in the conference and are in jeopardy of not making the MAC playoffs. Megan Conaboy very upset with her performance and her team's performance. Quinnipiac drops to 6-10 overall with the loss. Here's Coach Becca Main after the loss.
I think what we're doing is what's rearing its ugly head is our inexperience. We have been competing with the best for the last 7-8 weeks, really doing a nice job on the field in terms of playing pretty hockey, nice pretty hockey. And then you get into conference play. And in any sport, any conference, it doesn't matter what conference you're dealing with, the emotion change gets ramped up. And inexperience is coming into play, and we're having a hard time playing against the emotion at the end of the game. 2 identical games this weekend on Friday and Sunday in terms of we're winning a game, and you come out and you end up losing it emotionally. So I think it's somewhere between a mental toughness and somewhere between a learned behavior, and we have to really teach and learn. So there's a little disappointment off of what happened Friday because we really didn't make the changes emotionally. We did physically. We scored 3 goals. We came out on fire, and we played a nice 60 minutes, but it takes 70 minutes at this level.
For more sports updates, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Q30 Sports and like us on Facebook at Q30 Sports.
Cable packages offer hundreds of channels at relatively high prices. But what happens when the consumer has no need for all those extra stations?
John Alba explores the new trend that is cutting the cord.
It started with the radio. Then it was television's turn. Now the way to get the latest news, entertainment, and sports is this. Or this. Or maybe this. The second screen is taking precedence as the new way to stream media. And big-name companies are taking notice. Time Warner recently announced it will start an online streaming service taking HBO content straight to the web for a low fixed rate.
So I think, the way that people are changing their consumption is changing the way that these media companies are distributing it.
And the moves have already affected the market. Popular streaming service Netflix's stock dropped 25% the day HBO announced its plan.
The market's getting saturated with more and more competition, just as television did in its early stages.
And the consumers are the reason for the change. While some are trying to cut cable costs by dealing with their own cable company, others are cutting the cord. Data collected by Fierce Cable shows an increase in television consumers who have ditched cable in favor of online streaming devices. And some of those who have cut the cable say it boils down to the almighty dollar.
But the big reason is paying our bill used to be up $150, close to $170 a month. It just didn't make sense for the amount of use we're getting out of it.
And the prices are the appeal, no matter what the niche. World Wrestling Entertainment launched a digital platform in February that live streams pay-per-views and will eventually support more than 150,000 hours of its tape library. Its cost? Just $9.99 a month.
So at what point, do you start kind of running the numbers as a consumer and say, well, if my cable is going to be $60, but for $24 I can get these 3 services that all have these huge libraries, and it just becomes too attractive.
About 10 million American homes are broadband only and have no cable service, according to HBO chief executive Richard Plepler. Meanwhile, Netflix has more than 50 million subscribers. But director of Quinnipiac's graduate journalism department, Richard Hanley, says brands would be smart not to leave television behind.
Even though we live in the internet age and internet seems to be driving everything, the elephant in the room remains television. If you're not on television, you're not a player.
But as the millennials become more familiar with the second screen, there may not even be a cord to cut.
As soon as it becomes as easy as turning off the TV, there's going to be a seismic shift, and people are going to start, in groves, going to streaming only, I think.
In Hamden, John Alba, Q30 News.
And that will do it for this week's edition of the Q30 Newscast.
Stay connected with our news team throughout the rest of the week by visiting our Facebook page and following us on Twitter at Q30 News.
And be on the lookout for the Q30 News Weekly Digest, which airs this Friday. Thank you for watching and have a good night.